Okay, yes, we have made it to challenge number 4. So, in this challenge, we're going to focus on 3 things. The first thing that we're going to do is add the workflow and the logic to the sign up page. The second thing we're going to do is add the workflow and the logic to the feed. And specifically, we're going to focus on adding the ability to like posts and to unlike posts if you accidentally liked something, and to comment on someone's post. And then the third thing that we're going to work on is the ability for users to upload images on the dashboard, on the feed. So let's jump in to building the first part of that. That's what this first video is on, the logic and workflow for the sign up page. So if you remember, the original Instagram app has this really cool feature on the sign up page that says, okay, here's all my sign up information, and I can create a new account for the first time. But if I already have an account, I can click this have an account login button, click, and it will just give me the login screen with just my username and my password if I already have an account. And if I don't have an account, I can click sign up, and then I return back to the sign up screen. So the first thing we're going to do is build this feature that toggles back and forth between the sign up screen and the login screen. So to do that, I'm in my bubble editor on the index page. And the first thing I want to do is I know that I'm getting ready to reference the 4 groups that are involved. This group here, this group down here, and then the 2 equivalent ones for the login. So what I want to do is just label these because I know I'm going to reference them later and I want to know what they're called. So let's double click on this first one. It's currently called Group A. I'm just going to change the name to Group Sign Up 1. And let's double click on the second one and change the name to Group Sign Up 2. Now I also want to do the same thing for the login views. And if you remember, we made those hidden. So they're going to be shown over here. If you click on Elements Tree, you'll see all of the hidden elements that are on this page but are not currently visible. So let's click on this one and this one. You can see that they became activated right here. And let's double click on this first box. It's currently called Group C. I'm going to change the name to Group Login 1. And I'm going to change the second one to Group Login 2. Great. So now we've labeled our elements. I'm going to hide these again just so that it is nice and easy to see by clicking on these little eye icons in the corner. And I'm going to go create a workflow based on the user clicking on this have an account logged in text. So I'm going to right click on the text, not to be confused with the group behind the text specifically, and I'm going to click edit start workflow. Now, when that text is clicked, what I want to do is hide that sign up group 1. And I also want to hide, so element actions, hide that sign up group 2. I want to hide all of the sign up screen information, and I want to show all of the login screen information because remember, we just clicked the button that says I already have an account. So again, click here to add an action, element actions show, and we're going to show group login 1. And one more time, element actions show, and we're going to show group login 2. So let's test that out. Let's put ourselves in preview mode and see how that works for us. I have a little bit slow internet, so let's see. It'll take us a second. Again, personal preference. I like to take debug mode off of my own screen, but you can keep it on if you want. Bear with me for today's challenge. I do not have great internet service for the video recording, so it's taken a while. All right. Well, oh, there it is. I was just going to move on. Okay, so let's try it. Let's click have an account login. My page is still loading on its own. Let's see if it works anyway. Have an account login and switched over. And now we need to do the same action for if you don't have an account. So currently I can't click don't have an account and it takes me back. Nothing happens. So let's set that up for don't have an account and it switches back to the sign up view. So let's go back to our editor in the design tab, and I'm just going to unhide this group login group login 2. I'm going to unhide, which says don't have an account, sign up. And I'm going to right click on the text, not to be confused with the group around the text, and I'm going to click edit start workflow. Now, again, very similar. I'm going to add an action, element actions. I'm going to hide the login 1, and I'm also going to element actions hide login 2. But I want to show the sign up information now. So let's go element actions show sign up 1 and element actions show sign up 2. All right, great. Let's test out what we've got now. So let's refresh our little test page. And have an account, let's click it. Yep, I already have an account. Bam. And oh wait, actually I thought I had an account, but I don't. Bam. So we've made this feature that toggles back and forth. A lot of folks ask about how to build a one-page app. This is pretty much how you would build a one-page app. You would use the same technique of showing and hiding different pieces of information on the screen, but we just use this technique for our sign-in page. So the next thing we need to do on this page is actually allow someone to sign up for the first time, to allow them to enter information into all 4 of these fields, click the sign up button, and to actually get signed up. So let's set up the workflow for that. Let's go back into the bubble editor on the design tab. And this action we want to trigger when the person clicks the sign up button itself. So let's double click on sign up, start edit workflow. You could also do that thing where you right click and start edit workflow. And when the button sign up is clicked, what do we want to do? Let's click here and add an action. Account, sign the user up. Pretty simple. Now it's going to ask us what fields do you want us to use. Bubble's going to say, what fields do you want me to use in order to sign the user up? And so essentially what we need to say is, hey, I just want you to put the email in the email spot and the password in the password spot. So let me go back to my design tab in a moment. The reason why is because if I click here, I want to do input email value, because whatever they typed in is going to be the email that we save. And password is going to be, actually I'm a little bit confused here because there are 2 input passwords. Remember, there are 2 places. You can either put your password on the sign up screen or the login screen. So let's go again really quickly to the design tab and just clearly label everything so we know what is what. So let's click on the password field and let's change this so it's input password sign up. Let's change this username so it's input username sign up. And the full name is input full name sign up. Email is input email sign up. And we can use that same concept for the login page. So I'm going to make it visible over here on the elements tree. And for the username, let's double click it, input username login, just so I know which one is which. And double click the password field, input password login. Okay, everything's now labeled. So let's go back to our workflow. And we were just in the middle of telling Bubble how to sign the user up. So click sign the user up. And the password is going to be input password signups value. And we also want to save some additional data. So let's click the save some additional data option. Now we're going to click here, and what we want to save is the username. So username equals, and then we're going to insert dynamic data, input username signups value. And if you remember, there was one more piece of information that we were trying to save, which is the full name. And so I'm going to add some more additional data and click here. Now, when we set up our database, we actually forgot to add a full name element to the database. So what we can do is we can either go over here to the data tab and add that under user. Users have full names. That's a field under user. It's just one of the columns in that database spreadsheet. The other way we can do it is through this shortcut where you can just click create a new field. So it's create a new field, and that is called full name. And it's just going to be text create. Now, if you just want to double check, we can go over to our data tab and see that under users, full name just got added into the database. So that shortcut is just another way to make edits to the database. So let's go back to our workflow again, and full name equals whatever they typed in as their full name. So that's input full name signups value. And we're all done now with the sign up process. Now, the very last thing that we need to do, let's go back to the design tab, is we need to do the same sort of process if the person wants to log in. We need to actually log them in the database. So let's make the group login one visible again. And we want to trigger this workflow when the person clicks the login button. So let's right click on the login button, edit start workflow. And when the login button is clicked, we want to add an action, and we're going to account log the user in. Now, Bubble's asking us, how do you want me to log the user in? What credentials and information should I use to log the person in? And we're going to say, hey, I want you to log them in with whatever email they typed in and whatever password they typed in. So for email, let's click here. We're looking for input. Where is it? Oh, input. Oh, good question. Okay, so let's do the password really quickly, and then I'll show you how to get the email. So this password is input password login. It's value. Oops. And for the email, let's do a search. Now, if you notice when someone logs in for the second time, we don't ask them for their email. So looking at the real Instagram, when you click login, it just asks for their username and password, not their email. But you'll notice that in Bubble, in order to log the user in, it requires their email. So what we're going to do is we're going to go tell Bubble to do a search for users that have whatever username the person typed in. So for example, my username might be Tara Reed _. We're going to tell Bubble to go search the database for the username Tara Reed _ and put the email into this place that corresponds with that account. So tara@collecto.com is the email, and log them in with that email. So in order to have Bubble do that search, we're going to click here, do a search for users. And we're going to add a constraint because we don't want it to search for any user. We specifically want it to search for the user based on what was typed in to the username field. So let's add a constraint. Username equals input username login. So whatever they typed in into that username login's value. And specifically, now let's go back and finish the statement. Bubble's telling us in red that we have not finished our logic statement yet. So we're going to search for users that have that username that was just typed in. And we're not going to just search for users. We're going to search for users' email. So let's scroll down, and email is an option. And to finish the statement, we're just going to pick first item. So when Bubble does that search, it's really only going to find one thing, but you need to tell it to just pull the first thing that it finds as opposed to a query of all the things that it finds. This is maybe a little bit confusing because you're wondering, hey, there's only going to be one person with that username. Yes, that's true, but there are some searches that you can do where there are multiple things you can find. Like if you search for posts, there's going to be multiple posts with the letter A in there. And so in this scenario, you just need to close the statement with first item. And we're all done. That completes everything we need to do for the login page. And so let's go take a look at what the page looks like. Let's refresh. Okay, so of course we know that we created this toggle back and forth experience. So I already have an account, so I'm going to click here. And then I realized, oh wait, I don't have an account, so I'm going to click here. And then I'm going to sign up for the first time. My email, my full name, a username, and my password. Now let's click sign up. And actually, I just remembered one thing that we missed. When you click sign up, we want to sign the user in, but we also want to take them to the next page. Before I even click this button, let's go do that. So let's go back to our editor, to the workflow. And after we log the user in, we're going to click here to add an action, navigate, go to page. We want to send them to the feed so that they know that they were successfully logged in. We want to do the same thing when button sign up is clicked. When the user signs in, navigate, go to page, feed. Okay, so now that we forgot that or added that one piece that we forgot, let's try to refresh the page and try the sign up process again. Okay, so let's put in an email, and you should be testing this on your own site too to make sure everything's working. Here's my email. Here's my full name. Here's my username. And here's my password. And let's sign up. My internet connection's a little slow, but I can tell it's moving because it's this bar at the top is going. And no, don't save my password, Google Chrome. And now it has dumped me into my feed, which is what we were working on yesterday. It's missing a little bit of information. We're going to add it so that people can add posts more later. But here we go. I'm dumped into the feed and I'm logged in. Now, I want to try one more test for the login experience. So if you already have an account and you need to log in. So to do that, I'm just going to copy this URL and open up an incognito browser just because it doesn't know that I'm already logged in. So I'm going to open up a new tab and go to this. I'm going to take off the feed site because I just want to go to the home page. So open the same URL up in an incognito browser. Give it some time to load. Your computer is probably loading faster than mine. And I want to try the same test that I just did, except I don't want to create a new account on the sign up page. I want to log in with my existing account. So let's click have an account already. Yep. And my username is Reed _ and my password is this. And log me in, please. So what Bubble's doing right now is it's doing a search for my email. It's finding the email and it's logging me in with the email, even though I didn't even type in the email. Woo, nice hack. Okay, cool. So that concludes this first video on how to add all of the workflow and logic to your sign up page. Come hang out with me on the next video. We're going to add really cool elements where you can like posts down here and add comments. Talk to you in a minute.